Welcome to our podcast. Benefits of coffee. Welcome to today's podcast. You know, there's something almost sacred about that first sip of coffee in the morning. That quiet moment before the day begins, before the emails flood in, before the world starts demanding things from you. It's like a ritual, a small act of defiance against the chaos of life. And it's not just about the caffeine. Sure, that helps. The gentle nudge, the soft awakening of the senses, the way it clears out the fog in your head. But coffee is more than just a stimulant. It's history, it's culture, it's science, it's art, it's connection. Think about it. How many of the best conversations you've ever had happened over a cup of coffee? How many times have you sat across from someone, hands wrapped around a warm mug, and talked about life? Coffee is a bridge. It brings people together. It makes us slow down in a world that never stops moving. And let's talk about the science for a second, because coffee is fascinating. That little bean has been studied endlessly, and the results are kind of amazing. It's packed with antioxidants, which help fight off damage to your cells. It can improve brain function, boost memory, and even lower the risk of certain diseases like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. There's this study, one of many, actually, that found coffee drinkers tend to live longer. Not just a little bit, but significantly longer. Imagine that. Something you drink because it tastes good, because it makes you feel awake, is actually working behind the scenes to extend your life. And then there's the way it makes us feel. Not just the energy, but the comfort, the familiarity. There's something deeply human about the need to pause, to take a breath, to savor a moment. Coffee does that for us. It's not just a drink. It's an experience. The sound of the beans grinding, the hiss of the espresso machine, the slow drip of a pour-over. Even instant coffee has its own charm. There's something beautiful about the simplicity of it, the way it dissolves, the way it transforms. And let's not forget the flavors. The endless variety, the notes of chocolate, caramel, fruit, spices, the depth, the richness, the slight bitterness that lingers just long enough to remind you it's real. Coffee isn't perfect, of course. Too much and your hands shake, your heart races. Drink it too late in the day, and you might find yourself staring at the ceiling at 2 a.m., regretting every life choice that led you to that moment. But moderation, like with most things, is key. And then there's the culture. The way coffee is different everywhere you go. In Italy, it's espresso. Small, strong, quick. In Vietnam, it's sweet, thick, almost dessert-like. In Turkey, it's rich and unfiltered, brewed with cardamom. In Ethiopia, coffee is a ceremony, a tradition, a way of honoring guests. Even in our own lives, coffee is woven into our routines in ways we barely notice. The first cup in the morning, the midday pick-me-up, the late-night study session, the long drive where the only thing keeping you awake is a gas station coffee that tastes like burnt hopes and dreams. But somehow in that moment, it's perfect. And the way coffee shops have become modern-day gathering places. People working, reading, falling in love, breaking up, the quiet hum of conversation, the clinking of cups, the soft background music. It's a feeling, a mood. Maybe that's why so many of us love it. Because coffee isn't just a drink, it's a companion. It's there for us in the quiet moments, the hectic ones, the in-between. It's reliable. It's comforting. It's something to look forward to. So the next time you take a sip, really taste it. Think about where it came from, how it got to you, the hands that picked the beans, the journey it took. Appreciate the warmth, the depth, the simple pleasure of it. Because sometimes, the smallest things in life are the ones that matter the most. And there's something else about coffee. Something beyond the taste. Beyond the energy. Beyond even the science. It's a feeling, a state of mind. Think about the moments in life when coffee is there, quietly filling the space almost unnoticed. The long mornings when you sit by a window staring out, lost in thought. The cold days when the warmth of the cup in your hands is almost as comforting as the drink itself. The deep, late-night conversations when time seems to stretch, and the only thing keeping you grounded is the rich, familiar taste. It's more than habit. It's almost like a form of meditation. The pause before the first sip, the way the steam curls into the air, the simple act of being present, even if just for a few minutes. And it's funny how coffee has this ability to make time feel different. Some moments stretch longer, more meaningful as you sip slowly, letting the flavors linger. Other times, coffee is what propels you forward, rushing out the door, fueling deadlines, keeping exhaustion at bay. It's there in both extremes, the slow and the fast, the calm and the chaos. Then there's the creativity it seems to spark. Writers, artists, musicians, So many have found their inspiration sitting in a quiet cafe, a notebook in front of them, a half-empty cup beside them. It's like coffee unlocks something in the brain, shakes it awake just enough to see things differently. A new perspective, a fresh idea, a spark of energy where there was none before. And the nostalgia that comes with it, the way a certain blend can take you back to a different time, a different place. Maybe it's the coffee your parents used to drink when you were a kid, that deep, rich scent filling the kitchen every morning. Maybe it's the instant coffee you drank in college, long nights spent studying, exhausted but determined. Or maybe it's a specific cafe, a city, a trip, one cup that, even years later, still reminds you of something, of someone. It's amazing how something so simple can hold so many memories. Even making coffee is an experience in itself, the slow pour of a French press, the careful precision of an espresso shot, the hiss of a mocha pot, filling the kitchen with its bold aroma, the rhythmic stirring of a spoon in a cup, dissolving sugar, swirling cream, even the hum of a coffee machine in the morning, a sound so familiar, it almost blends into the background of daily life. And coffee connects people in ways we don't even think about. Strangers standing in line at a cafe, all waiting for that first sip. Friends catching up, picking up right where they left off. A quiet moment between two people who don't need to say much. Just the shared comfort of a warm drink in hand. It's a small thing, but maybe that's what makes it special. Because life is made up of these small things. These in-between moments, the pauses, the rituals, the quiet joys we don't always notice. And coffee somehow is always there. And it's strange, isn't it? How a drink, just ground up beans and hot water, can weave itself so seamlessly into the fabric of life. How something so ordinary can feel almost magical in the right moment. Maybe that's why coffee is one of the few things that transcends borders, languages and cultures. No matter where you go in the world, you'll find it. It might not look the same, taste the same, or even be called the same thing, but it's always there, tucked into the corners of daily life like a quiet companion, and it has this way of making you feel at home. Even in unfamiliar places. A tiny cafe on a street you've never walked before. A cup of coffee made by hands you don't know. Yet somehow it still feels like yours. Familiar, comforting. Maybe it's because coffee is one of those rare things that stays with you through every phase of life. When you're young, it's a symbol of adulthood. Something mysterious. Something the grown-ups drink. Something you'll understand one day. Then it becomes fuel, keeping you awake through long nights, early mornings, moments when time is stretched too thin. Eventually, it becomes ritual. Less about energy, more about rhythm, about routine, about appreciating the quiet spaces between the noise of the world. And at some point, it stops being just a drink. It becomes part of who you are. The way you like it, the way you make it, the way it fits into your day, your life, your memories. But for all the beauty of it, coffee isn't perfect. It has a dark side just like anything else. Drink too much and you'll feel it. The jittery hands, the racing heart, the uneasy feeling of too much energy trapped inside your body. Drink it at the wrong time and it'll rob you of sleep, leaving you staring at the ceiling, regretting that last cup. And then there's the dependency. The slow realization that without it, your mornings feel incomplete. That first sip isn't just pleasure, it's necessity. The dull headache that creeps in if you skip a day, the sluggish feeling that won't go away until you've had your fix. For starters, timing matters. Your body has its own rhythm. Its natural energy cycles. Drink coffee too early, right after waking up, and it clashes with your body's cortisol levels, making it less effective. The best time? Mid-morning, when your energy naturally dips. And then there's the amount. 1 or 2 cups? Perfect. Enough to sharpen your mind, to wake up your senses, to add a little spark to your day. 5 or 6? Now you're playing with fire. Your heart races, your body fights back. Your sleep pays the price. And speaking of sleep, cutting off coffee in the afternoon is one of the best things you can do. Even if you don't feel it, caffeine lingers in your system for hours, quietly interfering with the deep, restful sleep your body needs. And then there's what you put in it. Coffee itself is simple, pure. It's when we start drowning it in sugar, in syrups, in artificial creamers that it turns into something else entirely. A treat? Sure, but if you want coffee to work for you, rather than against you, sometimes less is more. At the end of the day, coffee is a gift. A small one maybe, but a gift nonetheless. A moment of warmth. A pause in the day. A connection to something bigger than yourself. Enjoy it, but respect it. Because like all good things, the real magic of coffee isn't in having more. It's in knowing just how much is enough. Thanks for your time. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and give it a thumbs up. Also, feel free to share your thoughts or any questions you have in the comments below.